everyone. Welcome back. I'm so excited to have you here today, and you'll be excited too because I have Ursula Mentjes. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, sales expert, and international speaker and author. This woman was promoted to account exec in only 5 years at the young age of 27. And she works with a huge list of corporate clients, but really her mission is to help millions of business owners achieve breakthrough 7 figures. How about that? Welcome, Ursula.
Hi, Jill. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you and everyone else.
Oh, I'm delighted you're here too. And, we've had the pleasure of knowing each other many years and watching each other go through so much to get where we are today. And I'm curious if you would share, you look beautiful, ready to rock. And I think people assume that people like you are already successful. Let's hear some of those stories on your way to success, the little bit of the obstacle stuff that you had to actually go through and get over.
Yeah. My gosh, so many obstacles. And I mean, from a young age, I think back, and Jill, I think you'll know what I'm talking about here. Not that you had this, but you understand in the speaker world how important it is to be able to talk in front of people and to not have fear around being visible. And I remember in the 9th grade, I couldn't even read a paragraph in front of the room. And so I had this deep fear of public speaking. And yet there was a part of me there was this calling to, later in my life, speak on stages. So I look back at that and, sometimes we develop these fears, these phobias, these challenges. And on the one hand, we can allow them to keep us stuck, or we can look them square in the eye and say, what is this about? And what's on the other side of that for me? Because for me, on the other side of that, of course, has been an amazing career, speaking on stages as a keynote speaker, being paid thousands and thousands of dollars, money that I couldn't have even had a dream about, right? I couldn't have dreamt about that level of money when I was a farm kid growing up in southern Minnesota. So that was one of my big ones. And since then, visibility, I mean, this is the world you live in. I mean, you've taught me so much about PR and being visible when you don't want to be. I'm an ambivert, a little bit introvert, a little bit extrovert, which allows me to do a lot of things I do, but it's not easy to be visible. And you and I don't know if you remember this, but you and I had a conversation years ago about showing up on Facebook more, like when Facebook was kind of just getting started. And I really fought that. And over the years, I've kind of leaned into, if I'm going to be an author and a speaker, if this is my career, I need to be visible. I need to be okay about being visible. And I need to help my clients become visible and overcome those fears. So lots of fears, limiting beliefs, all those things. And yet on every side of a limiting belief, I've found a gift and an opportunity.
Well, and I think that's part of what you teach, what is that mindset of getting through it, right? And I think for all of us to know that, guess what? You're going to be afraid of some things in life, right? And to me, if I'm not afraid, I'm probably not challenging myself enough. Do you feel that?
Oh, I agree. Yeah. If the goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough for you.
Oh, there you go. And I know I've seen you start your family, and that brought new challenges, right? I mean, sure, there's a lot of people who are balancing family and work, and especially in this pandemic, people really know what that means now. Well, what's that been like for you, not only to start the family, but also working through this pandemic?
Yeah. Well, so we had our first son, Luca, almost 8 years ago now. And I remember coming up to, like, I was probably 7 months into my pregnancy, and I was thinking, what's going to happen to the business? Like, what am I going to do? What do women do? Right? Like, what's going to happen? And I remember one of my friends who, her child was, I think 17 or 18 at the time. And she said, you just figure it out. She kept saying, you're going to figure it out. You're not going to know it all right now. You're not going to know it all, but you're going to figure it out. And yes, you can keep your business open and all those things. Like, I had all these fears of, like, the business is going to come crashing down. And I remember my assistant in business also became my nanny. So literally, I mean, she had all this baby experience. Like, I couldn't have planned that. Like, God planned that. So I would hand Marlena Luca while I was on calls like this, or on video, or, when I had to speak on a stage. And so it ended up being a great gift. And so, I'm not going to say it's not a lot to juggle. And I only have one child. I have friends who have 4 and 5 kids, and they figure it out. The lesson, though, I think for all of us, whether you have kids or not, is that it's all I think someone even wrote this book. I don't want to guess who, but it's all figure outable. Was that somebody wrote that book? Anyway. But I remember thinking that same thing. And that was the best advice I got. Like, whether it's in family, whether it's in your business, you're going to figure it out. There's always a way. That's another gift that a coach gave me. There's always a way to figure it out to get to that next level. And I've really, really lived by that.
Well, and I know you invest in yourself. We've met through trainings we've both taken, and I think obviously you are a coach and support for many others. What do you think most people should do as any step for success? Like, what would you recommend? What would be, in your opinion, a first step?
Yeah. Find someone who's done what you want to do. Find a coach that, and when you hire a coach, they're not going to have had your exact path. So if you need help with publicity, hire Jill. Find someone like Jill, who's an expert in publicity. In my space, I'm really good at helping people double and triple their revenue in a short amount of time, whether it's a $100,000 business, or we have a client right now who's 10 million wanting to get to 20 million. I'm great at the mindset. I'm great at figuring out the plan. I'm great at the sales piece of it, right? Like, that's my lane. So find a coach, find a mentor who's created what you want to create, because that's the hack. To me, that's the hack. They can get me from here to here a lot faster because they've already done it. And that can cut that time down to reaching your goals or that level of success that you desire so quickly.
Well, I also heard you say something important, that is, you identified what you're great at, right? You know what you're great at. And somebody was asking me about social media today on a summit where I was speaking, and I said, you know what? I'm not an expert at social media. Ask me anything about publicity,
Right.
and I do have some specific tactics for social media about getting publicity. But I think for you too, like when you say I'm a financial expert, people can think all kinds of things. And I heard you say some very specific things, including the fact that you help people break through the 7-figure mark. You help them with mindset. And I think that specificity on your part is really helpful. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. Knowing there's so many things that I don't want to know. I don't want to touch. I am always saying, ask your attorney, ask your CPA. Like, those are things I'm not an expert in, and staying in your lane is so important, because from a publicity standpoint, right, or from a marketing perspective, you have to know what you're good at, or it's really tough for anyone else to figure it out. So definitely, looking at what you're good at, especially if you have a service-based business, and honing in on those strengths. And that comes to team as well. I mean, there's a few things that I do really well in my business. I'm really great at coaching. I'm pretty good at speaking, right? I love writing. And outside of those areas, like, I shouldn't be doing it. And so I think it's also from a growth perspective. This is one of the things we work with our clients on a lot, is like, what are your areas of expertise? What are you good at? What are your zones of genius? And what else should you delegate? Because you can't scale to 7 figures without delegating.
Yeah, no, that's a really important point. And I think as we think of different levels of layers of business, I mean, I'm always big on get a team member. Actually, even right from the beginning, you'll figure out some things to give them to free yourself up, right?
Right.
It's like the thing when I stopped cleaning my house. Why should I do that when I can pay someone and frankly enjoy my time and free it up and earn more money? Yeah. I mean, what would you tell people, like the first thing to look at for making more money? What's a great tip?
Yeah, excellent. Great question. So start where you are. Like, look at, where is my revenue right now and what do I desire? Most of our clients, most of the people that come to us, they want to double. That's why we have a class called the 2X Intensive, because people want to, they're like, I'm at 10,000 a month. I want to be at 20. I'm at 40. I want to be at 83 and hit, start to break through 7 figures. So most people want the double. Once you know what you want, though, you've got to step into it. You've got to say, like, this is it. No matter what, I'm not going back. If my number is 50K, that's where I'm going next. Once you're clear on that and you're all in, the next steps show up. And for most of us, though, Jill, we don't want to do the next steps, right? The next steps might be hiring. It might be finding an expert to help you. It might be hiring a coach. It might be investing in team or systems or process. So notice that, though. Notice, once you figured out what you want, what is that next step? Like, what kind of help do you need to get to that level that you desire? But you got to pick it first. You got to get clear on what you want.
I think that's a great tip. Yeah, be clear on your numbers, right? And I think that's another thing most entrepreneurs, if I were to guess, probably aren't as good at. Have you found that?
Yes. And it's because it's not natural, right? We're not taught in school how to build a revenue model or how to fill out a financial plan or read a P&L. We're just not taught those things. And so it's not innate. And I hear from a lot, especially women business owners, push back and they'll say, I hate the numbers or don't like the numbers. And I hear you, and there's power in knowing your numbers. And what our clients tell us is on the other side of putting together a model month template to 2x their sales or putting their first revenue model together, the other side of that is freedom. Because once you start to get that on paper, it starts to happen. It starts to shift. I can't explain it. It's just like getting it down. So don't be afraid of the numbers. Just start to play with them. And here's, I think the other thing, people get stuck because they think they have to have this elaborate, revenue model or whatever. Take out a piece of paper. If you're at 10,000, you want to be at 20,000, write 20,000 down. And underneath that, ask yourself, what's the fastest and easiest way to get to 20,000 a month right now? And what'll happen is you'll start to see, I need to raise my prices. Perhaps I need to work with a different kind of client. I need to change this about our product or service. So the way to get there starts to show up. So it doesn't have to be fancy. Just put it on a piece of paper today.
I love that. And probably increase their prices, I would bet.
Typically increasing their price. Most of our clients, especially service-based, have to increase their prices pretty quickly. And they've known it. Like if you're listening right now and that's resonating, you've known for a while that you probably need to increase your prices.
I love that. I love that. So since you do a lot on mindset when, getting clear about our numbers, and I know for me, that was a big thing, to really learn financial literacy. And I'm not perfect, but I'm certainly a lot better. I don't go running from my P&L anymore.
Yeah.
But when those little, we'll call them fear monsters come up or something, as people are reaching the next step, what would you tell them to do?
I think to embrace the fear because it's normal. Call it the ego, call it the part of you that keeps you safe. It's normal to have negative thoughts come up about that say, that's not possible for you. Who are you to do that? There's no way to get there. There's not enough clients, like all that negative kind of stuff. And to just trust that that's normal. When you normalize it and you embrace it, it starts to lose its power. We were talking to a client recently and she kept catastrophizing, like going to worst case scenario. And I finally said, you can live in worst case scenario, or you can choose to listen to that and say, that's probably not going to happen. That's probably not true. And what I really want is over here, because we're trained to go here, right, Jill? We're trained to go to the negative as humans. When you can start to stop yourself and say, yeah, and it's also possible for me to have a 7-figure business as well. Or it's also possible for me to double my revenues because other people have done it. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's enough revenue for everybody. So starting to train your brain to go to what you desire and what is possible versus those little fear mongers. Now, I'm not going to say that's easy, right? I'm not going to say I'm perfect at that because I have stuff that pops up all the time. What I've learned to do is say, yeah, it's probably not true. Here's what I really want.
Oh, I love that. That's probably not true. Here's what I really want. Yeah, I love that. And that's really good to know that, the truth is everybody goes through it, right? Doesn't matter how successful or famous or not famous you are. I think everybody's dealing with their own level of whatever that fear is. Yes?
Absolutely. Everybody. One of the things, I had to get a master's degree in psychology just to figure this out, Jill, and to learn about myself and my own fears, because I thought, does everyone feel this way? Turns out, unless someone's super narcissistic, maybe, or maybe has some other stuff going on, right? That's not, and God bless them. All of us have it. We're all in this state of judging ourselves, judging what's happening. And our job is to, again, like really pay attention to those thoughts and ask, what's not true about that? And if that's not true, what else is possible? And the more you can train your brain to do that, the easier it is to create what you want. And that actually they've done studies that creates new neural pathways in your brain, which leads to new behaviors and new outcomes.
I love that. You made that really simple, and thank you for that. And I'm going to take that one on. That's probably not true. I love that. So I know, this is just the tip of the iceberg with you. You're very deep. You have beautiful information. I know you make such a difference in people's lives. Will you let us know how we can get a hold of you? And if you have any wonderful gifts for our listeners, that would be super great too.
Yeah, I would love to, Jill. Thank you. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, hanging out there. I'm on LinkedIn, a little bit on Twitter. And so you can find me there as Ursula Mentjes. And I have a great gift. We created it this year. It's called Quantum Revenue Expansion, the Masterclass. It's recorded. So you can go there right now and download it. And you go to ursulainc.co. So it's URSULA Inc.co. And when you get to that page, it's on the homepage. I didn't want to make this difficult. You don't have to click anywhere else. It's on the homepage. And the Quantum Revenue Expansion Masterclass is going to help you create your model month template, like figure out what you want, where you want to go next. What's your 2X or your 10X in revenue? And what would that look like for you? What would the numbers look like? What would you have to do to get there? And then I also, on the second part of training, I talk about how to up-level your prices and how to make sure they're in alignment with you. And the third day of training, 3 separate hours, not full days, 3 separate, but you want to do them on 3 different days if you can. Some of you are just going to want to work through it. That's fine too. The third training is all about how to collapse time and get there even faster. And it's a little bit quantum physics, but it's also very practical. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Go to ursulainc.co, download it. It's my free gift for all your listeners.
Wow, I'm going to go get that.
So much fun to do.
Well, you are amazing. I thank you for giving your great inspiration today, and always, always appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jill.
You bet. And thank you everyone for watching. Hey, go grab some great free publicity tips at publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift, and more great tips from Ursula. Go get her gift. You're going to want to stay in touch. And I'm going to see all of you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Keep being consciously kind.